Hi there, Joy Seeker. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me again today. I am your host and coach, Gaby Miranda from Joy Pursuit, and this is your intro to tapping. What we're going to be doing here today is going to be a little bit different than what you might have expected from this or other tapping videos. In general, when you go on the internet and find people to tap with, what you're doing is tapping along to a pre-recorded script that helps you get into alignment, have a better day, or get out of anxiety, anger, or even improve the symptoms of some physical illness that's attacking you and making you feel bad right now. This is going to be different because what I'm going to be doing is teaching you how to tap and exactly how it works so that you can create your own scripts and help yourself with whatever it is that you're feeling that's very unique to you and your situation. And so without further ado, let's just get to it. What is tapping? Tapping was created by a man called Gary Craig, and you can research him on Google, or if you're like me, DuckDuckGo, in the 90s while studying some patients with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, along with other scientists, and using a technique that combined the ancient traditional Eastern medicine and especially Chinese medicine of acupuncture, but without needles, using something called muscle testing. You might have seen this in the movies or on a TV show like Grey's Anatomy, where a doctor, a therapist, or a licensed physician who was doing muscle testing asked a person to hold their arm out in a certain position with a certain energy and strength, and then ask them questions to see if they hit a point where their emotional reaction was strong enough that the arm or the hand or the limb that they were working with moved. And what that did was enter a part of the subconscious mind where an emotion or a memory was locked in, because the subconscious is actually the host of all of our emotions and also where all of our memories are stored. So this muscle testing was doing the work for the therapist in finding the location of that memory, that trapped emotion that was causing the trigger for the post-traumatic stress disorder to be activated. And then what they realized is that there are these energy centers all over our bodies, not just the ones that we're going to tap with. However, they noticed that the tapping points that I'm going to be teaching you and that Gary Craig found were the most powerful ones had a pattern that was common to every single patient that they worked with. And what they noticed was that even though there are many other energetic centers in the body and points, these particular ones were repeated everywhere, and for sure, when you worked on at least one of them, the issue that the trigger was activating, that PTSD, which was what it was originally used for, would go away. And then the patient or the person who was having the tapping done with or done to them could go to either a 0 on the scale from 1 to 10 on the emotion, or something low enough like a 3 that they could easily go back to their lives or an activity, working, talking to people, or even facing that same trigger one more time. And isn't that amazing knowledge? And so when you tap into these certain points in your body, what you're doing is using a super powerful condensed technique that has gone through thousands of trials and many, many years since the 90s to be kind of like lasered down into the most effective way to spiral up into the emotions that have a higher vibrational frequency. And so emotions are measured in the energetic field of sound. They're measured in hertz, like the sound waves. And so when they move really, really low and slow and dense, we call them dense emotions instead of quote unquote negative, because all of them are positive in a way. All of them have a purpose in our body. It's just when we abuse that emotion, which usually the low vibration emotions are alarm systems for you to wake up and get into alignment. When we abuse this and we stay there very, very long, then they may have negative effects on the body by raising cortisol levels, getting your anxiety to kind of control your mind and your patterns, and getting you to perform not as well as you could in any task, from cutting a piece of bread and then slicing your finger to being in front of an audience doing a presentation that you know very, very well, but then choking and not being able to do it. So all of these things, from very intense post-traumatic stress disorder to something quite as quote unquote simple as giving a presentation where you're very, very nervous, can all be treated and managed with tapping. So are you excited? I am so excited to be teaching you this. Okay, so what they found is that these points are common to all the patients and always work because at least one of them is hitting the note that you need to spiral up. So what do you need to know for tapping? Always rate your feeling. Always rate the sensation, whether it's a physical sensation if you're working on something like a headache or back pain or some physical disease that you are deciding to attempt to work on with the tapping. And remember, I am not a medical doctor, so always follow your medical doctor or licensed physician of choice instructions when you're working on physical illnesses. And when you're working on something like anxiety or something more intense or powerful as depressive thoughts and so on, make sure that you have the support that you need. I am a licensed practitioner in EFT. I am a certified practitioner in EFT. However, it is always important that you have the support that you need for whatever it is that you're facing. And this is all about empowering you to make choices for your health, whether that's mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual. So make sure that you rate your sensation, your feeling, and make sure that you rate it very, very accurately. A lot of the times we want to say, how angry are you? I'm a 10. I'm super angry. Or how anxious are you right now? And they'll be like, I'm like a 20. But then when you frame it as this, 1 being super chill and 10 being you're about to give a very important speech that is the pinnacle of your career in front of 250,000 people, and you are being recorded for a TED Talk, you're going live on YouTube, MSNBC is actually there recording you, there are reporters from all over the world, you're going to be translated into 20 different languages, and it's all happening right now. And then you realize that the mic doesn't work, your notes are nowhere to be found, the presentation that you worked so hard on is poof, gone, nobody knows where it is, your team has completely ghosted you, you don't have your outfit because the dry cleaners lost it and you're wearing the sweaty PJs that you drove into, which are also stained because you just spilled coffee on it, and it was laundry day, so you're wearing the ugliest underwear in your cabinet and your pants have a big hole on them, then whoo, that number 10 becomes way more out there than what you might be experiencing in your life at the moment. And if it is in that scenario still a 10 for you, that's okay. Just make sure you write it down somewhere and you rate it before you do the tapping. That way you can tell whether or not you are far down enough on the sensation that you can start spiraling up again, or whether you need to do it again, and that's okay. You can do it as many times as you need. Next, you're going to always want to have something to drink, and especially something hydrating. Why? Because emotions are energy in motion. Essentially, the energy that we are moving from low, dense, and low vibration, we want to be able to flush it out. And because we are a physical body as well as a mental and emotional body, we want to make sure we help our bodies. And at the very least, you're hydrating. I strongly recommend water, and I love my little mug that says that you should be like a pineapple, sweet on the inside and stand tall and wear a crown. So you can be as creative as you want on your container and your glass and your drink. Do avoid things like wine or coffee to do this because they're dehydrating and they're going to be doing the opposite of what we need, which is to allow your body to flush the feelings and the sensations out of your cells and your body. And so to your health, make sure that you rate those feelings appropriately from a scale from 1 to 10. Remember that 1 is chili vanilli, 10 is super, super intense, and you're probably somewhere in between. Have your water, have a sip, and the next is know which of the points you're going to tap and start with your setup point. So your setup point is the Haya karate chop point. It's the fleshy part of the hand, and strongly recommend to use your non-dominant hand to be the setup point and to consistently use it over and over so your body gets used to this physical exchange of information. And to use your dominant hand, which in my case is the right hand, or in my hand is the right one, and use 1 or 2 fingers. I prefer 2. It's all up to you. You really can play with the tapping as much as you want, and use the force. And always use this example that you would use if you were going to the toilet. You really have to pee, and you're like, oh my god, I have to pee right now. And there's a very large man standing in front of a very empty toilet, and you're like, oh my god, sir, please, excuse me, I need to get in. And you're gonna be like, okay, I got it, I'm out. You're not pissing them off, but you're also making sure that you're noticed. So setup point is your karate chop point. Your dominant hand is the one that I recommend that you use. Use 1 or 2 fingers. Sometimes you can use 3. I personally prefer 2. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna tap. Exactly what you're gonna do on that big man in front of that empty toilet. Tap, tap, tap. And you're gonna start with the setup phrase. And remember, all of this is included also in written form in your workbook. So be cool. This is only an introduction, and for you to have more empowering information to get your own tapping scripts on. Okay, so tap your karate chop point, setup, and you start with the setup phrase, even though. And you always start saying, even though I am, I have, or I am feeling or doing X, and X being whatever problematic sensation, feeling, or situation is happening right now. I deeply and completely, personally, I like to say love, accept, and forgive myself. But if you find that very challenging, just say I deeply and completely accept myself and honor myself now. This is so that you can just honor the feelings that you're going through. Honor the fact that you're a human being, and it's okay for you to go through whatever sensation in your body is happening right now. It really is okay. It's natural. And you are entitled to your feelings, so it's okay. And that's what you're doing with that setup point. You're tuning into that low vibration frequency in your body, which is that energy in motion, just that is a slow motion that feels really uncomfortable, and bringing it in, and then also saying, it's okay, I know that this is happening, I'm ready to let it go now, I'm gonna acknowledge it first. So your setup point is here, and then you have the different tapping points in the body. And in the next videos, you're going to learn about the basic recipe and the story. Right now, you're just gonna learn where the points are. So the first point is actually in between the eyebrows, right where your third eye would be, or your Ajna chakra, if that's something that you are into. I personally am. Then the next one will be on the side between the forehead, the eyebrow, and where your hairline starts in the forehead or your temples. Then the next one is underneath your eye, right on your cheekbone. And you really want to get in that cheekbone sensation because it carries the frequency quite well. And then underneath your nose, right between your top lip and your nose tip. Then your chin. Then your, hope you can hear me okay, then your collarbone right here on the clavicle. And then the next point is actually a little bit of a challenge for some people to find. It's underneath your arm on the rib cage side, where if you are a woman, a female presenting person, or someone who enjoys wearing a bra from time to time, you'll notice that you have a bra strap. So that is the place, and some men tend to say that it's kind of on the line of your nipple, but because we have different places, I like to use the bra strap idea. So that's the next one. And then there are 2 extra points that we use sometimes to close and tap in. And then to close, that can be the wrists, so tapping them together, and the top of the head. And the reason these particular points are used is because they've been found to be the most powerful ones. The wrists are not always used. Not everyone uses them because they're not as powerful as the basic ones up until the armpit point, right underneath the armpit. And the one on the top of the head is mostly used to tap positive things in, or when you use the story. So in the next couple of videos, you're going to learn about the basic recipe and then the story, the 2 most popular and most effective types of tapping that you can do, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that next. I hope you enjoyed this video on the intro to tapping and that you learned a little bit more. As always, I'm going to recommend that you do your own research and go ahead and check out Gary Craig, the creator of tapping, and the other people that offer you opportunities to learn, like Brad Yates, Gala Darling, and the people from the Tapping Solution. All of them have videos free on the internet, and you can just find what you need if you're looking for extra support. This is just so that you can get started and you know that what we're doing has scientific backing and also spiritual support. I love you very much and I thank you so much. I will see you on the next video. Thank you.